So that exposes the water pump. What I'm going to do first, I'm going to undo this Jubilee clip because I find it easier doing this while the water pump's still held in place. And to be honest, the Jubilee clips look like they've seen better days. But I should have some there to replace with. The alternator, I only really need to undo this bit here, but I'm going to remove the whole thing because I wanted to give it a good clean to make sure there's no debris or anything, so I'm just going to take the whole alternator off. And you'll see in the previous video me fitting the alternator. It's just a few different bolts, nuts and one electrical connector. And the one bolt underneath. And at that, this can just lift away. Now after all that, the water pump can come out. Like I said, 4 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 long ones and 2 short ones. I forget which, I think it's the 2 short ones at the back, but we'll find out in a minute. You might also get some water trickling out here. So I got it the wrong way round. It's 2 big ones at the back and 2 small ones at the front, here and here. So the water pump should lift away. It's still held on by the hose, so I'll need to wriggle it free from that, but it's free from the block. There we go. So the old one that came off, the one isn't in bad condition. It's a bit worse for wearing outside. You can see there's always some water leaking out at some point, seeping. So yeah, it's a bit scabby looking, if that's the right word. The new one, there we go. It's looks a lot better. This is the one without the bypass in it because that's the make and model engine I have. So yeah, I just need to get cleaned up a bit and start getting everything back together. I'm going to go back to the engine bay and I'll show you a few things that I'm hoping to do while I've got all this off. While I've got all this space and access, it makes sense just to tidy up in here a bit. I'm going to check all the hoses. I'll get this big hose off and get it cleaned through and just check the condition of the inside. All this area tidied up, cleaned. Anywhere that's got rust I'm going to treat and paint. And obviously take all the old gaskets and everything off. You can see the gaskets here, and then I've got a scraper and make sure that's all perfect because it has to be clean metal to metal when I go back. If I'm honest, the condition of this head in here when I got the car was terrible, and you can still, I don't know if you can pick up on the camera there, no matter how many times I've cleaned and drained the head, it's still got this terrible brown substance in it. This might have to be replaced. As it stands at the moment, I'm going to get everything tidied up here, and I'll do that off camera, and then I'll come back once it's looking hopefully a lot better. So it's a bit of time later. I've put a bit of paint on the engine block, so I want to paint that just roughly at the moment because this car will be getting restored down the line after my main restoration. But I thought while I've got all this out, it might be good just to get it looking a bit better for the summer. So yep, this has been cleaned, this area has all been cleaned up. I've cleaned these surfaces here so they're perfect, ready for the new gaskets to go on, both on the thermostat and on the water pump surface. The hose at the back, I've checked all that, there's no issues with that, so basically I'm at the stage now to start getting it back on, and I'm going to start with the water pump. So I've got a gasket here and I've got some silicone sealant just to smear on it, put it on, get it lined up, and then get the bolts in and get it torqued up to 22 Newton meters. Right, I've got some silicone on the gasket which will help it stick to the block and the water pump. Put on the water pump first. I hate working with sealant, it stinks and it gets everywhere. But if it stops water coming out this engine, I'll put up with it. So I'm obviously being careful not to trap the gasket and make sure that the bolts go through the gasket. While I've got this loose, I'm going to squeeze the hose on. Just makes it a bit easier. And I will tighten the Jubilee clip up once the water pump's in place. I'm just going to do these up by hand first and then torque them as they should. .22 Newton meters. Not very tight at all. There we go, all torqued up. Nice shiny new water pump. I just need to build up the rest now. Right, they're torqued up, so I can now do the Jubilee clip. It's a good seal, and you don't want leaks when you go and start the engine up. So just double check everything before you start putting stuff together, and that's yeah, that's really good seal. Right. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to get the pulley, the spacer. What I did notice is there's two spacers here. This should be one thick one on mine, but someone's obviously used two. I don't have a thick one to put back on, so this, because it wasn't causing any problems, is going back on at the moment. And then the fan can go on the correct way. I'll do that off camera because it's fiddly, and I'll get them hand tight and I'll come back once it's on. Fan's on, bolts are tightened up to 10 Newton meters. Put the fan belt round just now because it's easier than when the radiator's in place. I'm basically going to just make sure it goes around the crank pulley and the water pump pulley. Right, next on my list is to get the radiator in and connect it up the bottom. And again, I'm going to do it off camera because it's fiddly and the camera there's just no room to get in. So basically I'm going to get it in place, get the bottom hose fitted, and just get it sitting loosely. I'll get the bottom bolt in that you seen me taking out, and then that means it's just this area here I've got to work on. Radiator's back in, or at least the bottom bit and the bottom hose. It's as fun as it always is. I'm just going to go ahead off camera because I've done videos on these before of putting the alternator back in, getting the belt tension back up, fitting the alternator, getting all the plumbing back in, and when it's all finished I'll come back to you. Okay, it's all back together and it's looking good. I just need to run the engine, let the coolant circulate, bleed some air out, and that's it, job done. I'll need to obviously finish tidying this up, but I can do that another day. So yeah, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers!